Well, hey, good morning once again, everybody. Hey, after yesterday, when I was talking about keeping calm, I decided that I needed to take a day myself yesterday just to be calm. And so I purposely didn't watch any news and I didn't hear any bad news. But I just allowed myself to do a couple things that I really wanted to do. And I want to tell you about them. The first thing I did in my day of calm was I finally made a really important decision in my life, and I want to share this with you first. It's kind of a big deal, something that I have been putting off for months, but I just felt like I needed to make a decision. And so actually, I'm gonna let you know I'm actually filming this on Wednesday night. I wanted to make sure and do this when nobody else was in the building. That's why I'm wearing the same clothes, because I wanted you to be the first to know of this really important decision. Have been putting this off for a long time. After many months of trial and testing and studying on this and praying about it, I finally decided today that after 25 years, I'm going to change the kind of pen that I use. See, for years and years, the only pen that I would ever use, my favorite pen, was a Uniball Vision Micropoint black pen. Now, this is still a great pen, but I'm deciding now to use only the Uniball Signo 207 pen, and I'm going with the medium point. I'm even straying from the black ink and using blue. I'm even dabbling with a little bit of red ink as well. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I've lost my mind. Chris, you say you shouldn't make such important decisions in times of duress. You're not thinking straight, Chris. It's too much. Just slow down. I mean, to change the pen that you use as well as the line width and then the color too. It's just madness. Well, maybe it is, and I certainly could use your prayers as I adjust fully to my new writing instrument of choice. But my mind is made up, and I just wanted you to be the first to know. Don't you feel honored? No? Okay. Well, so that's what I did first in my day of calm. The second thing I did was that I allowed myself to get lost in a new book. I allowed myself to not look at the news, to not do anything, but actually to sit down and just lose myself in a new book that I just got for several hours. And it was absolutely wonderful. Hey, by the way, speaking of how to stay calm, did you know that reading a book, just the act of sitting down and reading a book, has a great calming effect? There have been many studies done about this. It lowers your blood pressure and it just gives you a sense of calm and peace. And so that's what I did, and I began reading this new book that I just got by a guy named Eric Larson. It's an account of the first year when Winston Churchill became the Prime Minister of Britain during World War II. Churchill is one of my favorite people and was such an extraordinary leader in such a horrible time. I'm convinced that without his leadership, the world would be very much different today, just as the way I'm convinced that if it weren't for Vasily Arkhipov, as I talked about yesterday, our world, who knows what it would be like today. So I'm reading this book about England, World War II, Winston Churchill, and I remembered a story that I had heard. Maybe you've heard this as well. But in the days leading up to World War II, the British government put out a series of posters, and the idea was to capture motivational and inspiring and comforting slogans. These posters looked very similar. They were done in capital letters, distinct typeface. They only used two different colors. The only graphic was the royal crown of King George. And so on the first poster, which came out in September of 1939, were these words: "Your courage, your cheerfulness, and your resolution will bring us victory." And they plastered those things all around England leading up to World War II. Soon after that, a second poster appeared, and it said simply this: "Freedom is in peril. Defend it with all your might." Freedom is in peril. Defend it with all your might. These posters were everywhere throughout England. But what wasn't found out until much later is that there was actually a third poster printed, but was never distributed. They printed up 2.5 million of the copies of these third these third posters, but they were never seen until 60 years after the war, when a bookstore owner in England discovered one in a box of old books that he had bought at an auction. And this one looked like the other ones, but it had these words on it: keep calm and carry on. Same crown, same colors, same font, the same look, but this poster was held in reserve by the government for an extreme crisis, such as an actual invasion by Germany. But I love how England, they endured wave after wave after wave of aerial assaults by the Germans for like 50 straight days. And yet in their minds it was never bad enough to warrant this third poster. Well, that bookstore owner framed that poster, hung it on a wall, and it became the basis of a cottage industry. If you Google those words, keep calm and carry on, you'll see all kinds of parodies of it. But it's a good word, I think, for our time. Nothing since World War II, I don't believe, has so affected our entire world in so many different ways. And hey, listen, it is a scary time. It is. No doubt about it. But again, we need to remember who is in absolute control. The Lord Jesus Christ, who commanded the wind and the waves to be still. He calmed the waves on the sea. He calmed the fears in the hearts of his disciples. I want you to hear one of my favorite verses, and I want you to think about this verse today. It's just a great verse. It's from the Old Testament prophet Zephaniah. Zephaniah 3:17 says this: "The Lord your God is with you, and he is mighty to save." And then it says, "And he'll take great delight in you. He will quiet you with his love, and he will rejoice over you with singing." The Lord your God is with you. He is mighty to save. He will take great delight in you, and he will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing. Listen, God is with you, if you ask him to be, that is, and he is mighty to save. And today, may he quiet you with his love. So keep calm, carry on, and trust God. And I'll see you Monday, if not sooner. Peace.